hope the people as a whole elect that I believe may be forced to use this as a catalyst also to finally take over other countries. I believe we're still in Iraq because there's a backroom thinking that we're going to eventually take this country over when it's all said and done. And I believe that's why we have slowed down in our efforts to really make a plan to get out of there. I don't think it's a lack. I don't think it's a lack of what they're saying on the news about. They make the comments about that. Well, we got to get the people trained and the police forces trained. Well, isn't it funny how they are training the military, the U.S. military, and use the word military is training local law enforcement, as they call them. What they're training is they're training a martial law military force. Is what they're training, and they're trying to get. What they're trying to do is they're trying to set up the Iraqi people to get them. Not a democracy, in my opinion, but just to change hands of getting one guy out of power and then taking this individual government that the United States have developed and putting in place a martial law government, and maybe even use as a catalyst or as an example or as a template of what they want to do eventually in the United States. It's really scary. I'm seeing a lot of things that I didn't really would think come to pass. Again, I had a little more faith in our military. I had a little more faith in our government, and like I said, things have come to pass recently that in the last year that slowly, I would say, especially probably in the last 6 months, that have really kind of opened my eyes about possibilities that I don't particularly enjoy envisioning. So.
Yeah, I believe anything's possible, most definitely. There's nothing that wouldn't pass me at all where I'd be like, nah, impossible. Anything's possible, most definitely. Do you actually think, Larry, that they will create Iraq into a democracy?
No. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible. I really don't. I don't think it's possible. I don't think really generally the people there really know what a democracy is, even if we explained it to them. And again, they're getting an explanation by the people who want to impose what I think a martial law government. But I don't think that their culture would even understand the true meaning. I don't think the United States understands the true meaning of democracy, as far as I'm concerned. But
George W.
George W. I think he should call him the president of the national state of George W. Bush, what he should call himself. But anyway, I don't think it'll ever be what we envision actually a true democracy. Like I said, I really believe they're setting this thing up is to give the people appear to give the people some kind of voice. And maybe on certain things, maybe a voice, but I think really what's going down is that you're going to see, if and ever, if I'm wrong about the whole thing about us taking over that place eventually, or at least try to, I believe at least that it's going to be a new type of government, and I really believe it's going to be a military, martial law type system government. And I think that's how it's going to go down, because I don't think it's not shaping up to be any kind of democracy that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and so. With Iraq and plus now with Iran, do you see that also going to martial law, like all the all the Middle Eastern countries? Do you also see those going into martial law?
Well, I guess I don't know. It all depends. I mean, if you look into the Bible about the end times and Armageddon and so forth and so on, the battle's going to take place in the Middle East, and I believe at some point in time it's going to be totally a martial law type of government over there with the Antichrist sitting on the throne in that area. And so I believe that eventually is going to happen sometime. Now, whether of course, we don't know when the rapture is going to come and when Armageddon will be. I mean, we don't know the day or the time, according to Scripture, when it tells us that. So, but yeah, eventually, I believe it's all going to be in that area, because I believe that's the Antichrist is going to have that's where his throne is going to be at, is in the Middle East area right there. And I believe probably the battle is going to take place right there in Baghdad, to be honest with you. So yeah, I believe eventually, we'll all be martial law over that area.
Yeah, I reckon the whole planet will be a prison planet, like the Mr. Alex Jones's belief. I see that happening for sure.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I have great respect for the work of Alex Jones, most definitely, and all the information he brings to the forefront for the martial law subject. And so, like, the way it's written in the Bible, the way I read it, and the way it basically says, it takes no interpretation, is that that the Antichrist will come out of, like, it actually says it, like, basically, like, you'll have Iranian blood or something to that effect. It actually says that, and so I'm thinking, like, the Antichrist comes out of Iran. I mean, maybe I'm getting it wrong, but I see the Antichrist coming out of the Middle East, most definitely, and not that. You know how everybody talks about the European, like the Europe is going to be the whole like Antichrist beast system and all those things. I don't see that whatsoever. I honestly don't see that going out that way.
Well,
I see it coming out of the Middle Eastern country.
Well, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people are divided on that, and I really don't take what I call a hard stance on that, to be honest with you, because I really don't know. I mean, you might even have Iranian blood if you're looking at that. You may even have a point where you have an Iranian that, even for that matter, even parents or whatever of the Antichrist could have been an Iranian mom and a European father, for that matter. You know.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So I mean, that could have been that. I mean. I don't know, the way I kind of read it and some of the things I've seen and some of the commentary that I've come across, and I can't quote verbatim at this point in time, but it may be, to what I've heard, that it may be a European per se, come from the Europe area, that has ties, again, maybe like a mother that was of Iranian descent or something, or of Middle East descent, that come back to kind of be the savior of things, you know, and then that's where he's going to start at, you know. So I don't know. I guess, you know, it all comes to pass when it comes to pass. So I mean, I do believe though that the throne's going to spider out from the Middle East area, and definitely that the battle's going to take place there in the Armageddon. So definitely that area is going to be under martial law eventually, sometime whenever this prophecy transpires. So
absolutely. Talking about European of the world, like France and all those things altogether. And the whole euro. Do you see, like, because as you may know, Larry, the currency of the American dollar is crashing quite fast.
Oh yeah.
And do you see it turning into the euro dollar?
I don't know. I really don't know. America's one of those funny countries that you just never can count us down. Or I don't know. It seems like, you know, when we're at our lowest point is when we seem to strike back the hardest. It seems like, and I don't mean that as far as, you know, beating up on somebody else, but I think just regaining our foothold. And I guess eventually one day we'll lose our foothold eventually. But I don't know. That's hard to say. I really don't know. I mean, the American dollars the week before went through a depression back in the 40s. And that was, you know, that people thought that the United States was over with at that point in time. And we came out of that and regained our foothold again and became, I don't know, I hate to use that word, but superpower as we are, you know, the world, you know. And I don't like to use that as an arrogance or as a I'm better than someone else type thing. It's just that, you know, the country's a pretty strong country. But I don't know. It's hard to say, Paul. I really don't know about that.
Yeah. I kind of lost my place there for a second. Sorry about that.
No
Cool. So, with America, well, actually, altogether, I believe the Antichrist is indeed an actual man, because it said so. The number equals to a man, and also I believe it's also like a spiritual thing, maybe not a spiritual thing as per se, although it is, of course, but economics. I believe because like money does help people live without a doubt in this world, and I see the whole money structure worldwide altogether actually just completely crashing, just like the World Trade Center if need be, completely crashing down at free-fall speed. And I can't help but think that there won't be any currency whatsoever anymore. There'll be just nothing anymore. I just see that people will have no money, let alone even now, really, in my opinion.
Well, you know, I thought about that myself a couple different times. In the sense that, you know, I'm a big science fiction fan. I've always have been. My dad brought me up on Star Trek. You know, big Trekkie fan, have been for years. My oldest son's a big Trekkie fan. Not to the point you get to go to these conventions and dress up like characters, man, like that. Not that far gone, but but we do enjoy watching the shows and.